All right, well, let's get underway, and we'll welcome the other folks in as they come. I am Gary Wood, and I am the President and CEO at Central Virginia Electric Co-op and at FireFly Fiber Broadband. And we are excited to talk about our fiber project a little bit and make sure that we have any questions answered regarding who FireFly is and what our services are and where we're located and how we got here and all of those things. And we have a couple of other folks who are experts in terms of the FireFly services and the installation, the general manager, Dennis Reese, and then Morgan Ham, who's in charge of the operations and is also over all of the installers, and they'll provide some details later. But let me give you just a little background and start, though, by welcoming you again and thanking you for taking a little time out to hear about us this afternoon. FireFly Fiber Broadband is an internet service provider that was formed by Central Virginia Electric Co-op a couple of years ago in 2018. CVEC, the electric co-op, has been around since 1937, and we serve about half of the lake electrically. Dominion serves the other half of the lake community. CVEC in 2017 did a feasibility study about extending fiber to every home in the cooperative electric service territory because of the lack of broadband. And I know that the folks in the lake have had cable options for years, but when you looked across the Central Virginia Electric Co-op footprint, only about 10 to 15% of our members had any options for internet service beyond satellite or some very old copper-based DSL lines. So we made the decision in 2017 to take on a project to build fiber across the entire service area. The state of Virginia does not allow electric co-ops to sell internet service. We can only sell electricity, but the electric co-op can own an affiliate that is in any legal business in Virginia. And that's how FireFly was formed. It was formed to lease the fiber from Central Virginia Electric Co-op and provide internet service. The CVEC is a mid-sized electric utility. We have about 38,000 meters across parts of 14 counties. This project alone is about a $130 million project, building almost 4,000 miles of fiber across those parts of 14 counties. In the lake, Central Virginia Electric Co-op is building the fiber to the CVEC members and on the CVEC side of the lake. On a technicality, it's not really important to you, but FireFly will actually own the fiber that's in the Dominion area. FireFly will lease the fiber from CVEC on its side and will own the fiber on the other side, and FireFly will be the internet service provider. It is headquartered here. It's actually up the road in Palmyra. It's where most of our employees sit, and Dennis can tell you a little bit more about that. I will also say that the electric co-op has sought some significant sources of additional revenue to help offset the cost and make the project more feasible. And they've been successful in attracting a number of grants and different types of support at the local, state, and federal level. In the lake, none of that money is being applied. The lake did not qualify for any of those funds because they did have other service options. So the entire construction project inside the lake is being funded through loans and then any cash investments from FireFly as far as helping offset loans a little bit. So the project there is based purely on the economics of being able to sell enough services to pay for the fiber, but we're comfortable that the need is in the lake as well as across our service area. Typically, we've been seeing 60% or more people sign up in our rural areas that don't have other options. in areas that have cable internet, we see that about 40 to 50% typically will end up signing up for service. And the lake's running about at that pace. Usually it's a little less, a little lower sign-up rate. And then as we start connecting services, additional people will sign up, and we'll end up between 40 and 50%. I think that's where we'll be at the lake. With that, we've actually done a good bit of work in the lake and started connecting a few people. And I'll let the other guys talk to you about that and about the project. But I wanted to let you know that that FireFly is a local company. We're headquartered right up the road, and we are owned by Central Virginia Electric Co-op. With that, how about I turn it over to you, Dennis? Dennis, you might be muted.
Thank you, Gary. Hopefully you can hear me now.
Yes.
So thank you. And as Gary had stated, we're local here in Fluvanna County. Most of our employees are stationed here. We do have a few employees that are stationed in Nelson. And we have about 13,000 over 13,000 customers today. So for Lake Monticello, we have shown a map here, a larger map of the entire footprint on the left, and then of course we're showing a map on the right side that shows the actual inside the lake. And we have that divided up by which side, where the power utility is. So predominantly right now we're doing most of the work on the CVEC side, and that's where we started at because we need to build from the CVEC network, our existing network, into the lake. And then, so for the lake, we're actually using a process called microtrenching, and then we're actually after we do the microtrenching, then pedestals will be placed along the side of the road in the right of way, and then the service drop crews will come in and install the drops for anyone who signed up for service. They'll place a drop to the house, and then a splicing team will come in and do the splicing and put the network interface device on the side of the house, which we call it an NID. And then after all that's tested and verified that everything's working correctly, then we will contact you to schedule your install. So you'll receive a phone call and our email notifying you that we're ready to schedule your install. Once again, this is only if you've signed up for service. So there's multiple reasons why we're doing the microtrenching, and I'm actually going to turn this over to Morgan to go into this a little bit more in depth. Morgan, you want to talk about microtrenching?
Yeah, I can do that. Thanks, Dennis. Microtrenching is a faster, less disruptive way of construction when it comes to placing underground utilities, especially in an older neighborhood that has pre-existing utilities. A lot of older utilities that are difficult to locate. The microtrenching process would eliminate any disruption to those existing utilities. It's placed in the roadway. It's about 8 to 12 inches deep in the asphalt. We place an interduct and the fiber optic cable in that trench in the roadway. They come back with a flowable fill that takes about a week to cure and settle, and then after that they'll come back and place an asphalt sealant on top of that trench. The pedestals are placed in the existing right-of-way in the front of the properties, and they will be on property lines next to an existing phone pedestal or power transformer. At that point, the fiber and interduct will be placed about 12 to 18 inches deep from the edge of the pavement up to where that pedestal is placed. The pedestals are placed. That's where we will get service or place service from that pedestal to your house if you have registered and signed up. The service drop will be placed from that location to the side of your house, where the NID will be placed at the meter point where the existing power meter is located. You can go to the next slide here, Dennis. Here are a few pictures of actual micro trenching in the lake. You can see they're about 12 to 14 inches off the edge of pavement. The far picture to the right is just a little cross picture there of what the trench looks like. So the conduit and fiber are placed into the trench. There's the flowable backfill, non-shrinking backfill. There's the street subsurface, which is located there, and then the asphalt sealer, and then street surface is the top. So once all that is clear, you'll see trucks coming back through after the microtrenching has been completed, doing that asphalt sealant, and that should be, if I'm not mistaken, scheduled here fairly soon. They were waiting for some temperatures to increase before we started placing that asphalt sealer. Okay, Dennis, you can go to the next one there. Service drops. So as mentioned before, if you have signed up, we will place a service drop from those green pedestals to your house. So what we're looking for there, you'll see some paint being placed to mark your existing utilities, and this is just if you've signed up. Now, granted, if a pedestal is 1 or 2 lots away, a neighbor will also see this paint across the front of their right-of-ways. So we can have that drop placed without damaging any existing utility. We do ask residents to help us with any private utilities, whether it be a propane tank, dog fence, irrigation, landscape lighting, etc. That will help our crews know where to look for these, so we don't damage any private utilities. These private utilities are not located by Miss Utility. Only service providers such as the power company, whether it be Dominion or CVEC, CenturyLink and Comcast, and also the water and sewer are marked by Miss Utility. Once that's done, contract crews will come out and place the fiber drop from pedestal to house. The NID is always located next to your existing power meter. We keep that, it's the same way across the board. We always have that in the same location. Once that's done and gets spliced, so the cable will be placed, and then a separate crew will come out and splice the fiber. Once that's done, we'll get a light reading that the cable is ready, and then we will contact you for installation.
I want to say here that we're doing weekly or bi-weekly updates on the status of what streets we're on as well. And where we're working and with the micro trenching and the pedestal placement and the drops. You want to go into that at this point, Morgan, or you want to?
Yeah, we can talk about where the project is currently across the entire lake. And forgive me, I don't have section numbers of the lake. I thought I had a map of that. But currently, fiber is placed and spliced, and we are doing connections. We're calling it the golf course section. So anything by Slice Gate coming in on the Jefferson, hitting left or right out of that Slice Gate, down Jefferson all the way back to where there's kind of a little creek where it crosses right by Barrett Street. So that whole section around the golf course is currently being installed. We're doing in-home installations as we speak. The next section that is complete, and we'll be doing installs here shortly, is kind of Jefferson off of Colonial, that piece, which ties into the Riverside Gate inside of the gate. Fiber has been placed and is currently being spliced in the Riverside section. We're not doing installs in there quite yet. As for construction on the Dominion side, we have placed fiber and pedestals on Jefferson from the marina to where the gas pipeline crosses Jefferson, right near Beach 5. That section has not been turned up yet. We're still waiting for a VDOT permit to place fiber from South Boston Road up Lake Monticello Road to the main gate entrance. Once that's placed, then that fiber will be turned up and will be live. Same thing for the outside section of the Crofton outside section. All that fiber has been placed, and we're just waiting for that main feed to come in from South Boston. Currently, we're working in the turkey sag section. So everything from 53 up turkey sag up to Jefferson has been completed. They're currently working on Jefferson in each direction from turkey sag, and kind of on these little inner roads off of Woodlawn Drive and Nahor Drive. So we're currently in that section right now, placing the fiber. The PED crews are right behind the placing crews. So you'll see the orange conduit and fiber kind of coiled up at the edge of pavement. These crews are working right behind the fiber placing crews to be sure that we get those PEDs set fairly quickly, and that's not an eyesore for anybody in these particular areas. So currently we're sitting around 250,000 feet placed out of roughly 370,000 road miles, and that puts us about 68% complete. So we're looking at another few months. Once we finish this last CVEC section, then we will transition back into the section of Dominion over by the Monash Gate in Lafayette, and we'll be working back towards Beach 5, and then also doing the Cherokee section outside the lake. So once we finish that, then the entire lake will be complete. So we're moving right along.
Thank you, Morgan. Do you want to cover the install?
I'll keep on getting it. Yep. So as I mentioned before, once the fiber drop is placed to your house and we place the NID next to your existing power meter, we'll be notified that your address is ready to go. Once that happens, we'll have one of our CSRs reach out to you and schedule your installation. You can always, you can also, and that's when you'll also select your package of what you're looking to purchase with us. Once we come out there to do the install, we'll greet you. We'll do a site survey of your house or business and determine the best location to place the equipment. Our goal is to get everything centralized. That way, the routers dispersing signal all throughout the dwelling or business. And each install is different, so there will be challenges for us to get that to get that equipment in a centralized location. Go to the next one here, Dennis. Here are pictures of the equipment that we'll be using. So we use it's fiber optic, so we have an ONT. The ONT is a smaller device, not much smaller than a cell phone area-wise, a little bit thicker. But that device, it transitions the fiber to copper. So we're going from glass to a copper cable. Out of that device, we'll have a copper cable feeding our router, which is the GigaSpire U6, which is a Wi-Fi 6 compatible router. It's top of the line. This router, if centrally located, can cover around 4,000 square feet and handle up to over 200 unique devices connected at once. The smaller device is a mesh extender. And not every house will need a mesh extender. We leave that up to our technicians when they're on site doing the actual install. Once we place the equipment, we'll do another site survey and determine if a mesh is needed. We'll run signal strength tests all throughout the house and go from there. If a mesh is needed, it is an additional monthly charge, and we'll go over that pricing here in a little bit. But some other highlights with our packages here: there's no data usage or caps or fees. It is a managed Wi-Fi. We are able to troubleshoot remotely if need be. We do offer whole home Wi-Fi, as just mentioned, with the mesh extender. And we do have 24-hour technical support, whether it be via phone call, or we also have a chat version of that as well. We have symmetrical speeds for upload and download. We only have 2 packages, which we'll go over that here shortly as well. Phone highlights, we do offer phone service. It's called Voice over IP. You are able to keep your existing phone number if you'd wish. We can port that number over from your existing provider, which takes about 2 to 3 weeks for that transition to happen. If you do request to have your number transition from your current provider to FireFly, we will send you some paper documents for you to fill out to have that number sent over to FireFly. Like I said, it's about a 2 or 3 week process. The quality is much clearer. It's a digital it's a digital phone line compared to straight analog copper. If it rains, a lot of copper lines get static or drop. This is a very clear. It has clear voice quality. It's compatible with your existing phones, so we can wire one phone, or we can backfeed your house and wire the house to backfeed your entire phone system. There are a lot of options included with our phone service, and a few here is call waiting, call forwarding, ring anywhere, voicemail to email. There's a lot of options. And we also provide or have an option for 24-hour support. I'm sorry, no, that's not an option. The option is the battery backup, which is also an additional charge. So if your power goes out, your ONT goes out, then your service will go down. If you have this optional battery backup, it'll just power the ONT, but it'll keep your phone service active for up to 8 hours. You go to the next slide, Dennis.
And while we're waiting for Dennis to advance that, it's important to know that that battery backup provides backup to your phone only, so it won't hold up your internet service per se. That can be done with other methods, whole home generator, or a dedicated UPS, depending on its size and its power availability.
Okay. So the FireFly difference, Morgan already covered some of this, was the note actually talked about the symmetrical speeds, the no data caps, but we also have no hitting equipment cost. If you take our Wi-Fi service, it's and use our Wi-Fi router, there's no charge for that. There's no data caps, as Morgan had mentioned. It's more reliable network being on fiber, so there's no slowdowns like you mentioned on the copper services that you sometimes experience, and there's no contracts. So our pricing is standard across the board. We do offer a $5 discount if you take phone service with internet. The whole home Wi-Fi service, which is the mesh extender that Morgan had mentioned, is $5.99 a month if it's needed, and we'll help test. We'll test in your house to make sure you got good quality Wi-Fi signal first. Some homes, depending on how the materials it's built with and how the house is designed, the Wi-Fi doesn't go quite as far, but it's really a case-by-case basis. We find that most people don't need the mesh extender, but some do. We also have business pricing available as well. And this is just our base business pricing. We also offer dedicated business services, which is quoted on a case-by-case basis. So video and streaming options, FireFly does not offer or plan to offer television services. FireFly customers can still use your Comcast TV or satellite options like Dish or DirecTV options. Many of our customers are streaming using different services. We don't recommend any one in particular. It depends on what you're wanting. There are several over-the-top video providers that carry even the local channels with unlimited DVR options. We do have a link on our website that shares some of this information with you so you can make an informed decision. But there's a lot of options out there, and they keep on they keep on coming. So it seems like every programmer out there is creating their own streaming service. that's it for their presentation. We'll get into starting to answer the questions now.
Before we do that, Dennis, I just want to remind folks who joined, excuse me, a little late. They probably missed instructions on how they can interact. If you have a question or anything that you've heard, or you had one stewing that you were wanting to ask this evening, you can go ahead and do that by clicking the Q&A button. Go ahead and type your question in and hit submit, and our panelists will see those questions and answer them. So if you join late, that's how you interact with this, and we'll make sure we answer all the questions that have been submitted. Thanks.
Yeah, I think there were a couple of questions asking if they could check to see if they had registered already. I think we've already answered those through the chat, but you can always go back in and check your availability. Go to our website, click on check availability, put your address in. It will tell you if someone's already registered at that address before. You can re-register if you push all the way through. But if you've already registered, you shouldn't have to register again. If you still have questions, you can email us or call us. Our customer service reps will get back to you with an answer. I just noticed our phone number is not on the slide, but we'll add that for the next time. Let's see what other questions we have. Is there any robocall blocking on the phone service? Morgan, I'm not aware of that being an option. Are you?
No, sir, not off the top of my head. I am reaching out right now to see if I can get an answer for that.
I don't think that's available. But we'll get that verified here hopefully in a minute. There's a question, you mentioned a status chart being updated. Do we have access to that? We are sending a chart and a list of where we're working at to the Lake Monticello Owners Association, and they're publishing that weekly or bi-weekly. So that list is changing just about every week. So that's being updated, I think, every Friday.
That's correct. Yep.
Question here about if we miss the free installation window, do we know what the charge will be for installation in the future? The installation fee is, if you miss the free installation window, is $100. Is there any other questions I'm missing that we need to go over besides the robo blocking on the phone?
So I've got some clarification on the robo blocking. They can block individual numbers. The spam blocker will block all unlisted numbers. Like some cellular calls come in unlisted, so they will block those. So I'm not sure if that is a large concern or not, but there is an option. But keep in mind that it could block a number that is not an actual spam.
See someone asking about the pricing chart. I'll go back to that screen for the moment. But our pricing's on our website as well. If you go to fireflyva.com, you can see our pricing anytime. Symmetrical speeds are great. Question about PON or dedicated speeds. Being guaranteed, if speeds are guaranteed or best effort. Technically, they're best effort, and it is PON. To answer the question, but people are not, people are getting the speeds we're promising, so or what we're promoting. The key is if you're running a speed test, you need to run it from the router and hardwired, and then most devices can't test if you have the gigabit service. Most devices cannot test a 1 gig connection symmetrical. The device is not capable of sustaining that type of data burst. The point of having gigabit to the home is to provide plenty of bandwidth for all the devices in the home. And typically the maximum speed you're going to get on a speed test with Wi-Fi, even with Wi-Fi 6, is going to be 600 megs. Some brand new devices like the latest iPhone may test a little faster than that, but it gets technical with Wi-Fi. You've got to match up the number of radios in the Wi-Fi router to the number of antennas in the actual device to be able to get those top speeds.
Dennis?
Yes.
I think the other thing to note here is that our system is designed to allow us to easily increase the bandwidth if we saw a problem with people starting to see slowdowns at times when there are more people online, or if there's starting to be congestion. And we monitor that, and we can easily decrease the number of people on the PON. And that's something we take a lot of pride in, is delivering the service that we sell you. So it's something we're committed to, but there's not a technical guarantee, as you pointed out.
Yeah, excellent point, Gary. And the equipment we're using is upgradable, so we can eventually offer multiple gigs to the home once we see the need and business case to do that. So let's see.
Dennis, let me take the one on the question about the 2-year contract with Comcast.
Yeah.
And I understand that Comcast has those contracts because we're working to make our service really simple. We don't offer introductory rates. We don't offer deals for changing. We really don't do anything other than just provide a really, really good service at world-class speeds at really competitive prices. And we stay away from the administrative costs of all those other things. We'll be here. We're going to be here for a long, long time. When we put this fiber in, our intent is to continue providing this service for as long as the technology keeps up. And there's fiber already in the ground that's been in place since 1970s that continues to work. So whether that's 30 years or 50 years or 75 or 100 years, when you're at a point where a contract runs out and you're ready to switch, we'll be here, and we'll have competitive rates and great service, and we'll take you up at that time. But we don't offer any of the discounting or special deals. That's just not our business model. So.
Excellent point, Gary, because I think most of us have experienced that at one point, where you get this introductory deal for 5 months, or you have to sign a 2-year contract to get a special rate for the first 12 months, and then all of a sudden your price goes way up. So we don't do that. We're keeping our pricing very simple and straightforward and honest. So with our rates, you know what you're getting. We're not playing that game. There's a question about the free installation being closed. It is not closed yet. We will send out a notification with a timeline of when that's closing.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out the installation charge is being waived because we have crews and the appropriate folks installing the fiber to the home in those areas at that time. And when if they leave to go build different segments and they're gone, or they're in a different county and all those crews are concentrated on those builds, we have to bring crews back into that area to connect and service your address. So that's a lot of people have asked, why do you charge, if I don't get it now, why are you charging $100 later? We have all the resources available to provide that service for a specific amount of time as we do that build. And then it's easier and more efficient for those crews to then deploy that service to your home at that time, rather than send different crews to your house later. So that's we get that question a lot.
Yeah, excellent point, because those crews have to be mobilized, and to bring equipment in and move the equipment back out just to do potentially one install.
And I don't see any other questions. If anyone has a question, go ahead and click that Q&A button, type in your question, hit submit. And I don't see anything in chat either. So we look clear on this end. If anyone has any questions, go ahead and submit those now.
And while we're checking to see if there are more questions, I will note that we are in the last few months of construction across the service area, and we're very active. We're adding 150 or so active connections a week, and we're trying to increase that up to around 200 a week. So we're trying to get to everybody as quickly as possible, because we know there's a lot of interest in the service, and again, in a lot of areas there are no other options. So we'll continue to work to get as many people on as fast as possible, and we'll keep going until everybody who wants service is connected. But we appreciate you taking time to hear us, and we're open to any other questions you have.
Looks like there was a question submitted about any update on adding service in the Cherokee section of the lake. And I'm not sure if that was covered, Morgan, by your update or not.
Yeah, yep, it was. So the Cherokee section will probably be one of the last areas completed. We're working currently in the CVEC side off of Turkey Sag and Jefferson in each direction. Once we complete that, the CVEC territory stops at the fishing pond on Jefferson. Once we finish that, then we'll start working the inside the gate portion of the Dominion section by Monash Gate, wrapping back around. And then we're applying for VDOT permitting currently to get our backbone, our main feed down Thomas Jefferson Parkway and then down Lake Monticello Road to get back over towards the Cherokee section. So yeah, unfortunately, that might be one of the last sections that will be completed.
If you have any other questions that you didn't want to answer ask during the Q&A session, please feel free to email us at the info@fireflyva.com, or you can call us at the phone number that Matt provided in the chat, which is 833-473-3591, and speak to one of our customer service reps here in Palmyra.
All right. Looks like we've answered all the questions. We appreciate everyone's time this evening. We're excited about this project. We're excited to serve world-class service to Central Virginia. And so we thank you for your time. As I mentioned, this is recorded. And Melissa is on. I'm not sure. It's usually a couple of days, I think, after this webinar that we will send out an email to all those who registered with a link to the recording. So if you want to re-watch this or share it with someone who couldn't attend, that's what that's there for.
We absolutely will. Thank you, Matt. We'll also provide this to the Lake Monticello Owners Association so that this can be available to any of the lake residents. So you can look for that in the next day or so. So if anybody missed it or you wanted to go back and look at some of the slides that you saw here or photos of the work that you can expect in your neighborhood, just take a look and it will be up probably by tomorrow.
Perfect. Thank you, Melissa. All right. Looks like all the questions are answered. Once again, we all want to thank you for joining on behalf of Central Virginia Electric and FireFly Fiber Broadband. We know your time is important. We're excited. We're doing the work and we'll be providing amazing service to those that are interested. So we appreciate your time. Thank you. Have a safe evening.